Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Night FIFA. The FA Cup final is upon us. It's coming up soon. So with that level of tradition, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my FA Cup predictions. You know, I've done them for the last few years in a row, And this year, in the FA Cup final being held at Wembley Stadium, we are going to see Manchester City, who have appeared in 4 straight FA Cup finals. The first of its kind. Well, not the first of its kind. The first record of its kind to reach 4 FA Cup finals on the bounce. And they will be facing off against Chelsea, who have reached their first final since 2022. Where did they win or... I can't remember if they beat or lost to Liverpool, because that was, I think it was one of Klopp's last season. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Klopp's last season, was it? Because he left at the end of not last season, but the season before, because Arne Slot came in last season, etc., etc. Anyway, so obviously we're going to be using FIFA 2007 to be able to predict this, but we're going to have a quick look at the teams at this particular time. So let's have a look at the Manchester City lineup that would have gone out in 2007. We have Anders Isaacson. I think his name was Anders Isaacson. Then it is Michael Richards, who has become one of the best football pundits out there. A man who holds the record for the most red cards in Premier League history in Richard Dunn. I think he's got 8 own goals to his name. Then it's Sylvain Distin, Ben Thatcher, Trevor Sinclair, who is famous for somehow making it to the World Cup 2002 squad and scoring an incredible overhead kick whilst I think he was playing for West Ham United against QPR in the FA Cup. The most angriest Englishman to ever grace a football pitch of its era, Joey Barton. Usman Darbo, Claudio Reyna, Georgios Samaros, and Karadi. I forget what his first name was. And then the subs, you got Nicky Weaver, who was... he was still going at this point? Nicky Weaver, wow. Nicky Weaver was the Manchester City goalkeeper when they got promoted from Division 2, which is now League 1, back in 99. Goodness me. I wonder how many Man City fans remember him. I'm just wondering. Then you got Trabelsi Sunjihai, who once upon a time played for Crystal Palace and was actually one of the first Chinese players to ever grace English football. Liverpool legend Deep Mohamed, Darius Vassell, a young Joe Hart. Wow, before he, ascended to greatness and then had one conversation with Pep Guardiola and it all went to hell. S. Jordan Nedum Anoa, I think that's how you pronounce it. I probably just butchered it. I am sorry. Danny Mills, once again, another player famous for somehow making it into the 2002 World Cup England squad. Stephen Ireland, Antoine Sibieski, Paul Dickov, wow. City fans will definitely remember Paul Dickov. I think he scored a very important goal in the derby. Andy Cole, one of only a few modern players to have ever played for both Manchester City and Manchester United. And then a young Daniel Sturridge before he burst onto the scene. Well, he went to Chelsea, won a Champions League. Not sure if he played in the 2012 final. Then he transferred over to Liverpool, became one of the top players, and then realised that his hamstrings were made out of spaghetti. I think it was these hamstrings anyway. Player with so much potential. But he delighted us when he was, up front with Luis Suarez at Liverpool. Right, let's quickly jump over and have a look at Chelsea, shall we? Okay, this is how Chelsea was lining up in 2007. 2007 also being a season where Chelsea did not win the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. And did they win the FA Cup in 2007? I do believe they did. I forget against who. I think it was Arsenal, and it was Drogba who scored the winning goals. Anyway, so this is how they would have lined up in 2007. You have Petr Cech, Paulo Ferreira, John Terry, Ricardo Carvalho, Wayne Bridge, whose wife sadly decided, oh yeah, I'm going to sleep with John Terry. Alright. Michael Essien, quite possibly the most successful German player in Premier League history, and Michael Ballack. Arjen Robben. Frank Lampard, who has just, succeeded with Coventry, getting them promoted back to the Premier League after 25 years gone. Got them promoted back to the Premier League, and as champions, no less. In really good style. Well done you. Well done you. Let's hope your run in the Premier League is better than your run at Everton. Didier Drogba. Andrei Shevchenko. Carlo Cudicini. Wow, he was still playing for Chelsea in 2007? Damn, man. Boularus. Don't remember him. Just don't remember him. Cloud Makalele, Sean Wright Phillips before he went over to he came from Manchester City if I'm not mistaken. Joe Cole, who also played for Coventry City in the tail end of his career. Hilario, William Gallas, who was slowly on his way out, and probably who did he play for? Was it Arsenal or Tottenham? I know he played for both, but I can't remember who he played for afterwards. Robert Huth, Murray. John Obi Mikel, Jeremy. Now, I remember Jeremy. Jeremy on Championship Manager 0102 was one of them world-class players, but he never really reached that potential. I think he played for Newcastle afterwards. Diarra, I think it's Lassana Diarra. Elmer? Sure. And then Solomon Kalou. So that is how Chelsea is lined up, or would have lined up in 2007. Anyway, I've been rambling on for quite some time. So, without further ado, let's play some football. Alright then, so, as it goes, like I said, this is Manchester City's fourth FA Cup final on the bounce, number 4. And in their run of getting to the FA Cup final 4 years in a row, they've only won it once. They beat Manchester United in 23 or 24. I forget what year it was, because they faced each other in back-to-back years. And then they faced off against Crystal Palace. My team. And, they lost 1-0, and now they're going up against Chelsea. Like I said, this is Chelsea's first FA Cup final since 2022, where I think they lost to Liverpool. Yeah, they did lose to Liverpool because it was important. It was Sadio Mane's last one before he went, I think it was to Bayern Munich, and then before he went off to Saudi Arabia. And it looks like Chelsea are going to be pushing on nice and early. Obviously keep in mind, as I like to say, this is during an era where, this is before Manchester City became billionaires, really, so it's definitely a different lineup because, good save, because if you remember correctly as well, they became billionaires at the end of the 2007-2008 season, that's when they got bought out. Chelsea got bought out in 2003 by one Roman Abramovich before he was ousted from... Oh my god, literally just launched it to... I know it's a game and everything, but holy crap. Literally threw it to Robin. Oh, you gotta laugh sometimes, you really do. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Chelsea got bought out by Roman Abramovich in 2003 before he was ousted because of ties to Vladimir Putin, And ever since then, Chelsea fans have been angry at Blue Coast, spending billions on players to such long contracts as well, 6, 7, 8 years. not really doing much with them, selling them on. And it's almost like Chelsea, it's not exactly the biggest fall from grace in history, in football history. I mean, like, there's been worse, so to speak. I mean, if you look at the current plight of Tottenham Hotspur, let's all laugh at Sorry, Tottenham fans. Sorry, sort of. I mean, come on, you know. As I record this, you're still 2 points from safety behind West Ham, so yeah, I'm gonna poke a bit of fun. Why not? But at the moment, still looking for the breakthrough between these two teams. But yeah, I'll get to both teams' route to the final in just a minute. Sinclair's kind of like, oh, still holding on to the ball. Well, to be fair, Andrei Shevchenko wasn't exactly the most prolific Premier League striker. I mean, definitely a world-class player, no doubt about that. Oh, nice little skill there. He could have just beat his marker there. Whoop! Good save there. Petr Cech and his defence back in 2005 still hold the record for the least goals conceded in a season. 15. But yeah, as I was saying about Shevchenko, he wasn't exactly the most prolific Premier League striker for a player of his calibre. Like I said, an absolute unit of a striker in like was it La Liga? No. Ooh, nearly had a bit of an upset. Not La Liga, Serie A. You know, he played for a lot of big teams over there. And then, from my understanding, who was the manager at the time of Chelsea? I think it was Mourinho. Ooh! I mean, it was a tight angle, and if you were going to try and beat the goalkeeper at the near post like that, that would have been fucking quality goal, but Isaacson didn't really look like he was bothered about it. He was like, meh, okay. Let him have a shot. But yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it was Mourinho who was manager of Chelsea at the time. He actually, from my understanding, he didn't want Shevchenko, but Abramovich did, so signed him up anyway. Because I don't know what was the reason why Abramovich signed him. I think it was more of like a publicity kind of thing. I can't remember why, but it was just one of those, wasn't it? You know. Oh. Not the best header in the world, but still. Right, it says there's 4 minutes added on. And then that should be the end of the half. But is either team going to have one last crack at goal? Looks like there's not really a good opportunity. Right, okay. So that's the end of the first half. It's 0-0. I know it says friendly, but we're imagining that this is the FA Cup final being held at Wembley. And yeah, you know, this is some of the highlights that we see from the match. This was Drogba's early opportunity. Good save there by Isaacson. You know, quick on his feet. Good response. Palmed it away. Gave away a corner. This is from Isaacson's throw. And then gave it to Robin, who hit the side netting. You know, what a disastrous throw that was. And then might get the last tight angle one. No, I don't think we're going to get it. Anyway, right, so let's have a quick look at both teams' route to the finals. So, Manchester City, who entered the FA Cup at... Oh, wait, there's a tight angle. There we go. That was a good volley as well. Right, so Manchester City's route to the final. City entered at the third round, as every Premier League championship level team does every year. And in the third round, they faced Exeter City at home, where they absolutely demolished them 10-1. Then, in the fourth round, they faced Salford City and beat them 2-0. That was also at the Etihad. Then they took a nice journey to St James's Park, where they faced Newcastle United. Also, fun fact, if they would have played at Exeter City, they would have also played at St James's Park, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just have a quick look, make sure that my fact is correct. Yep, St James's Park. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, and they ended up facing Newcastle United at St James's Park, winning 3-1. In the quarterfinals, they faced big, old rivals, modern rivals, Liverpool, and ended up demolishing them 4-0, convincing style. Mo Salah missed a penalty that day. And then in the semi-finals, they had a bit of a scare against Southampton. Southampton, the unlikely team to get that far, and Southampton took the lead. It was a really good goal, not gonna lie. But then Manchester City came back to win 2-1. So that's how they got to the final. Chelsea, on the other hand, who also entered at the third round, as all Premier League and Championship level teams do, and they faced Charlton Athletic in the third round at the Valley, winning 5-1. They then had to travel to Hull City, which was also away, where they won 4-0. Good result there. Also, the Charlton match, I think, was Liam Rosenior's first match in charge of Chelsea. And then every Chelsea fan, for a brief glimmer, brief time, was like, oh, we've got a good young hot manager. And then he realised he's got the tactical skill of a gnat. Right. Then in the fifth round, they faced Wrexham and was pushed to the limit as it went to extra time and won 4-2. Ryan Reynolds must have been very pleased and proud of his Wrexham team to push Chelsea to such a limit, but obviously disappointed that they didn't win. Then in the quarterfinals, quite possibly the biggest, unlikely scenario you had ever seen in your life. They were at home to Port Vale, who at the time were rock bottom of League One and have now been relegated to League Two. But Port Vale got rolled over because Chelsea thought it was a great idea to throw out a full-strength team against Port Vale and ended up winning 7-0 in the quarterfinals. Then in the semi-final, Leeds United were the victims of Chelsea defeat as it finished 1-0. So yeah, those are the routes to the final. Let's get into the second half, shall we? Alright, boys and girls. Second half is underway. Well, now it is. So we're still goalless. I think if this continues, I think it might go into a penalty shootout because this is being deemed as a, quote-unquote friendly. So if it is a friendly, then it should go to penalties, right? Gotta have a winner. I mean, I know in real life when there are friendlies, if it's a draw, it's a draw. It is what it is. But, yeah. Nice ball. Oh! Should have struck it first time. Pow. Should have bulleted that. And judging by the little arrow symbols underneath the right 0, I think as soon as it goes out of play, Chelsea might be making a cheeky little sub. Ooh! And it's going to be Arjen Robben who makes way for Joe Cole. Hot young English player that he was at the time. The world at his feet. Just like Frank Lampard came through the academy at West Ham United. People seem to forget that. Both Lamps and Joe Cole originally played for West Ham United. But I know now Frank Lampard will be seen as Chelsea through and through. But I wonder who Joe Cole's allegiance lies to. He had greater success at, Chelsea. Of course you would. But, he made his name at West Ham. Now, I don't know who he supports, or who who he prefers more, but it is one of those. But he's definitely had the ball more often. It's an alright little cross, gave it his all. That could have been dangerous. You know, heading it back. Didier Drogba won like a oof. There we go. It was Shevchenko who got the goal. It's a good cross. I mean, I was looking at it and I was like, what, from the telly angle that you normally get on this, it wasn't really sure whether Shevchenko had got in front of that, which he did. But yeah, I was about to say, Drogba, if you look at Drogba's record of scoring in finals, unmatched. Literally unmatched. That man came out of nowhere, scored in final after final. And Chelsea fans will always, always, always love him for one match, 2 goals. One, he scored the equaliser against Bayern Munich in the 2012 Champions League final. As well as, what was it? He scored the winning penalty in the shootout in that very same match. You know, so always beloved by Chelsea fans. Part of the 100 club. He's one of a select group of players who have scored more than 100 goals in the Premier League. He did leave Chelsea for after the 2012 Champions League final, actually. Yeah, I forget who he went to. I think... Did he play in the MLS for a period? And also play for, I think it was Galatasaray? How comes loads of players always go to Turkey? I mean, like, I'm sure it's just like, oh yeah, I'll play in Turkey for 1 year, get a quick payout, you know, work on my tan, etc., and then take it from there. And then, you know, they realise that the Turkish league is corrupt as all hell, you know? Anyway, I digress. But then Drogba did make a triumphant return to Chelsea, winning the Premier League under a returning Jose Mourinho in 2014-15 season. Yeah, you know, before the 3rd season plague came in and completely ruined Mourinho. I don't think he ever lasted more than 3 years at a single club. If I really think about it, I don't think he has. Maybe Real Madrid. No, definitely not Inter Milan. I can't remember, to be quite frank. And obviously he's got such wonderful things to say about Tottenham, you know? Such wonderful things he says about Tottenham. Nice clearance there, I guess. Chelsea still very much in full control at the moment. Looking for space, didn't really get there. Right, so according to this, just a few minutes left. Are Chelsea going to plop on a second, or are Manchester City going to steal it? They're going to steal a draw, but at the moment with all the possession that Chelsea is currently having, I'm guessing it's going to be probably just hold the ball and then, yeah, unless they can do something about this, but there's 4 minutes of added time. Can City do something from this? Take it to a potential penalty shootout? Oh, nope, but they do get a corner. Last chance saloon. I would have loved it if he just had a pop shot. Whoever that Man City player was, I would have loved it if he just had a crack. Okay. Will this be the last chance? Who was manager at Chelsea in 2007? I think it was no, it was Mourinho to begin with, when he got replaced by Goose Hiddink. But that's the end of the match. You know? So, yeah. 1-0 Chelsea. So there you have it, folks. This is what FIFA 2007 has predicted, is that Chelsea are going to beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final 1-0. But obviously we will find out in a short few days, I think, you know, on whether or not Chelsea can somewhat upset Pep Guardiola because, well, looks like Guardiola's on a mission to get another domestic treble under his belt. He did that back in 2019, 18 or 19, one of the two. And it looks like he's going for a second. But yeah, according to FIFA 2007, it's going to be Chelsea to win the FA Cup. All right, cool. I mean, still got one more match left here on Wednesday night FIFA of my full season playthrough as Arsenal on FIFA 2004. The Premier League title was wrapped up, but we got to wrap the season up and everything like that. And then, then we'll move on to, what was it? Then it's going to be, so I'll give you another little one. I'm going to be doing a Champions League final predictions on FIFA 2007 as well. Now come just in time for the Champions League final. Then it's a FIFA 98. Yes, I'm going back to FIFA 98 for the World Cup. I'm going to play as the USA. And then after that, bit of a break. And yeah, it's going to be cracking on with FIFA 2007, where I'm going to try and avoid relegation as Reading. So yeah, have fun with that. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this particular episode of Wednesday Night FIFA, and I hope now you've enjoyed it. Obviously, I apologise for yammering on a lot at the beginning, but it is what it is. But if you've enjoyed this particular episode, give it a like, share the video as well, because the more shares, the more views, the more that the channel continues to grow, and the more that I get to do this for you. Subscribe to World-1 Entertainment if this is your first time on the channel. Don't forget to check out all of the other content that's currently available, because you never know, there might be something that you like. And if you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so you are notified about any and all content that goes live onto the channel. Join us for the season finale of my FIFA 2004 season playthrough as Arsenal. Join us soon for the Champions League final predictions with FIFA 2007. And then shortly after that, the FIFA 98 World Cup run as the USA. And then back for when the new season returns, where I try to fight relegation as Reading. So yeah, join us for those, for some more FIFA football action. Take it easy, everyone.